Have you asked yourself before, what is the difference between nuclear with electricity and nuclear with wars? And more importantly, how dangerous are the nuclear weapons that exist today? And if there really is a new nuclear war from the major countries, as people are worried now, and if nuclear warheads are used, what will happen? The world is divided into two parts with regard to nuclear energy. The first part is the countries that are used to generate electricity, and these are very many countries. Any country in the world can simply take this step as long as it has the financial resources and the appropriate competencies. As for the second part, they are countries that have a military plan, and these countries are there are only 9 countries on the surface of the earth, and we will take the first part because it is the green part. If I ask you now, what is your knowledge about North Korea? And most likely the first thing that will come to your mind is that its president, who threatens America and the world, is that it is possible to use nuclear weapons at any time and from whom. You might think that North Korea is the country with the most nuclear weapons in the world, or at least among the big 3. But North Korea is the least country in the whole world that has a military nuclear weapon. North Korea has about 50 nuclear warheads, while America has 5,550 nuclear warheads. Russia has 6,257. If a country possesses 1 nuclear warhead, the whole world is supposed to be wary of it, because 1 nuclear warhead is enough to cause huge disasters, especially since the nuclear bombs that exist today are much larger and more dangerous than the bombs that existed at the time. World War II. The nuclear bomb that was used on the Japanese city of Hiroshima in 1945, which caused the horrific accident that happened, carried about 64 kilograms of radioactive uranium, and surprisingly, this bomb was considered a failed bomb because of the 64 kilograms of uranium. Only 1 kilo was split apart, which caused an explosion huge, about 15,000 tons, and all the disasters that occurred in Hiroshima were caused by 1 kilogram of uranium. So imagine the modern bombs that exist now. The world at the time when you hear the episode, there are 13,000 nuclear bombs, and if these bombs were launched from their places, the planet would disappear from the planet, so that we cannot imagine the extent of the destruction that would be subjected to the Earth if all the nuclear warheads with the major countries were used. So who could deduce this through some of the nuclear tests that took place? It is possible that many in the world have already exposed nuclear explosions, either through experiments and research, or through some mistakes, or even explosions that occurred due to wars, as happened in October 1961 AD, when a nuclear bomb was dropped for the purpose of testing over an island in the ocean frozen in the far northeast of Europe. The bomb that was named after the Tsar at the time was the most powerful thermonuclear weapon that was detonated in the world, and its explosive power was estimated at about 57 million tons, which was stronger than the bomb that fell on Hiroshima. After about 3,800 times in the surroundings of the explosion, the bomb reached 780 km, and the dust resulting from the explosion reached a height of 64 km above the surface of the Earth, and the waves resulting from its explosion went around the Earth 3 times, and the frightening results of the experiment thundered the world all at that time. It made people really know how dangerous nuclear weapons are today. By the way, do you think about what is the solution to the issue of the nuclear bomb that exists with the major countries? The issue is at all good, and would nuclear prefer a monopoly to some countries in the whole world? Write to us in the comments. A number of people joined in and activate the bell. We return to our topic. The danger of nuclear energy also exists even in peaceful nuclear reactors. The difference between them and the military nuclear bomb is the type and quantity of radioactive material, because it is possible to use other radioactive materials other than uranium and plutonium, such as cesium, and these materials have low radioactivity. But of course, it is still very dangerous, and the famous Chernobyl reactor accident is the biggest proof. After that, about 4,000 people who were present in the vicinity of the explosion died due to radioactive poisoning, in addition to the 2,300,000 people from Ukraine and neighboring countries who were exposed to radiation, and the wind carried radioactive dust to very great distances, to the extent that its impact reached in the north to Sweden, which is far from Ukraine, about 2,600 km. Until today, no one can enter the region unless he is protecting himself against radiation. Now we talk about peaceful nuclear reactors in more detail, and we understand how they use them and why in the first place nuclear is used to generate electricity. Although it causes the danger that we talked about in the high power station to generate electricity, it depends mainly on heat. They bring very old fuels like coal, for example, or oil and natural gas, and then they are ignited inside the stations, and then this heat is used and heated with a large amount of water, and this water is chewed and pumped into pipes, and through the tremendous pressure that generates water vapor, a group of turbines begins to damage its speed and rotation, eventually turn into electrical energy, as happens in nuclear reactors. But with different fuels such as coal, natural gas, or petroleum, we use radioactive material. Nuclear fission of radioactive materials releases huge heat energy from the reaction. This heat energy is used inside the station to heat water. But as long as they perform the same function, why do they even use binary fission to generate electricity? The answer to this question is complete in that small amounts of the radioactive material can be religious, as a huge amount of energy is almost unfinished, and this is what makes countries prefer using nuclear energy to generate electricity. Let us give an example of the amount of energy until we get it from 75,000 liters of oil, which is equivalent to 80,000 cubic meters of natural gas or 166,000 kilo from coal. We can get it if we do nuclear fission for only 1 kilogram of uranium-235. Naturally, we did not understand why so many countries put their minds on them, especially since the nuclear industries themselves have advanced and remain in safer means that are much better than the first. Indeed, there are safe means to dispose of waste. The radioactivity did not exist before. 32 countries in the world own 443 nuclear reactors, in addition to 55 nuclear plants under construction, and for this reason, nuclear reactors alone provide about 10% of the electricity that the world needs, and what is expected to reach 15% during the coming years. France alone has 56 nuclear reactors, generating about 70% of the country's total electricity. China has 53 and activated, and Canada has 19. The United Kingdom has 11, and other countries such as Japan and Spain